Good day, everyone. This is Tom Nowetner, the conversationalist. Like, subscribe, comment, share, ring the bell. Let's start as we always do. Let's give some love to St. Jude, the protector of children, the place you can go if you don't have two pennies in your pocket with a sick child, and they take care of the whole family. Every dime you send gets used for a child. The rest of it all comes from endowments. Give them some love, give them some cash, at least support St. Jude's work. Second one is Aortic Hope. How you doing, Karen? We're gonna give you a little shot here, Karen. Maybe we get some people to send some donations. Hopefully that everything's going well. I remembered that you were on the West Coast. Hope everybody is enjoying their time out there. Oh, that's right. You're in Florida, not West Coast, Florida. Next month is the West Coast, I think. Anyway, I know you're out of town, so I hope you're having a good time and you're being safe. Give them some love, send them some money, like and subscribe for Aortic Hope. Good people doing good things. All right, let's go to PAD, peripheral artery disease. We are we are saving toes, feet, ankles, legs. It isn't about cutting them off anymore. Now we have all sorts of treatments. So if you're involved with a doctor that's taking bits and pieces because you have a diabetes of any kind, and they're taking pieces like toes and half a foot and an ankle, stop. Find somebody that's in PAD, get some treatment. They have wires they can send through and clear veins and arteries. They have balloons that will expand veins and arteries. The amount of new research and studies and treatments is phenomenal. Please save your limbs. If you're a diabetic, if you had amputations, stop. Contact Kim at PAD. They'll get you in touch with somebody in your area who is progressing to saving limbs rather than cutting them off. Because there's a good money in cutting limbs off. I don't know if you know that, but I was kind of surprised how much they get from the insurance company. All right, my friends, let's talk about rock out. We be rocking. Okay. Rock from the Heart is just a great time. A day of information, a day of understanding, day of camaraderie, and then a day of rock and roll. Got one coming up in February. You should check it out. Like, subscribe. If you can make it, great. If you can't, send them a little jingle. Good people doing good things. Okay. All right. Today we're gonna do one of my favorites. I'm gonna bring a lot out that's going to be new information. Everybody knows that things are going kind of cockeyed, wrong. The train is off the track. We hope that President Trump and his merry band of men and women, just like Robin Hood, will come in, swing down from the trees like Errol Flynn in his tights, and save America. But we have to know what we need to save America from, right? Because there's a lot of treachery going on. There's a lot of people with the me syndrome. I wrote that down because it means a lot to me. It means we've gone from the greater good of America to what's good for me. And then we took that premise and we made corporations. We call them investment funds. We call them money managers. We call them bean counters. That's my favorite. I love calling all these money guys bean counters because let's face it, if somebody walked into an airline which they did, and they were looking around and they saw that a salad had two olives on it rather than one, and they figured out they could save millions of dollars by taking one olive off the salad. Or, please, for your own shits and giggles, Google McDonald's burger, double cheeseburger, and look at the commercial from around the 1965 to 1969. And then Google a commercial, a present day commercial about the double cheeseburger. You will see the size difference. You will see the quality difference in their own commercial. And you know that burger you see on the commercial is not the one you get. It never is. The other day I looked like I quickly fed myself through Wendy's because I was up in Syracuse on another matter, and the burger came out and it looked like somebody stepped on it. I fed it to the dog. I mean, he loved it. He didn't, he doesn't even breathe when he eats. Speaking of Cooper, 87.4 pounds. See, I bring that up simply as a sidebar because they told me it was going to be no more than 60 pounds. Right, Coop? That's my buddy. 87.4 pounds as of yesterday at about 3 o'clock. No, 1 o'clock. What a horse. What a horse he's turned out. Yeah, I'm glad he's so well trained and well behaved. Because if he decided to run off on me, I'd be just dragged down the street with him. Hopefully, I wouldn't be sitting on one of my carts. I'd be going for a ride. But he's really good. He sits by my side. He doesn't, when he's on leash, he's really smart. But that's another story. I'll tell you, I really want to do that story. Maybe we'll do that story on Sunday. Give you the adventures of Cooper. Let's get back today to what I call the 10% rule of corporations. Now, if you Google that, you're going to see this 10% rule about growth. If you're growing at 10% every year, you're doing damn well. I know that some places grow at 500% and they get bought out, and then all of a sudden, a year later, money marketers taking over and the company goes up, belly up, and they sell all their equipment and they make a fortune. I'm talking about growth at 10% is pretty good. I mean, if my restaurants grew every year at 10%, I was a happy camper. But that's not the rule I'm talking about. I'm talking about the dark side here. Let's, everybody hold hands. We're going to go to the dark side. If you're a little afraid, put your flashlight on your phone. But on the dark side, the 10% rule says if 100 people complain about your product, you deny everything. Right? That if you have a service contract, an extended service contract on your car, and you put in for something, they just deny everybody because only 10% of the people are going to come back for a second appeal. So out of 100, now you got rid of 90 people by just saying no. Now 10% are going to come back, and that's what, 10. So now you only have 10 people to deal with. So you deny all 10 of those. You know how many come back? I like to say 1, but it's actually lower than that. If you look at the statistics of this, it's like 8.8, 0.08. Isn't that terrible? Isn't that terrible? So if you're paying an insurance company and you get a broken leg, and 2 ways they deny, or when they code it with the minimum payout. And if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know what you're looking at, if you're not involved enough, because most people never get an itemized bill from their hospitals. This last hospitalization for my gallbladder, I absolutely just got the itemized bill from them. Isn't that terrible? That was what? 3 months ago. I finally got it. They've been fighting me tooth and nail so I wouldn't have it. And when you see, I asked for a box of tissues and they charged me $8.61 for a box of tissues. I can buy a 4-pack of that at Walmart tissues for that price. But then again, that's another story. So we're going to open this up right now. We're going to look at Kellogg's. And what I want you to do is understand Kellogg's was started by a doctor and his family, and they built a resort. And his premise was, if you start your day with a lot of grains and dairy and exercise, you'd be more productive and you'd live longer and you'd be healthier. So he built a spa, and he was into every grain you can think of before they doused them in sugar, before they cooked them to the point where they'll be on the shelf in 300 years. Like they always said, if you bury a hot dog and dig it up 3 years from now, it's still edible. Well, cereals now are that way. The box has more nutrition. The box of milk and eat the. He really gets a whole. Hello,
You're
where'd you
back.
go?
You're back. You faded out right as you were saying the box has more nutrition,
Okay,
right?
so you might as well eat the box because if you're going to get the same or more nutrition than the cereal. So let's play this video. Josh, I can't see it though this time. Um, we're going to play this video, and I just want you to relax. Just watch the video and understand that this gentleman has one objective in mind, not the good of the company, but the production of the company and what it takes to make year over year greater sales. He's lost that one thing that Dr. Kellogg had, and that was that connection with his consumers. Isn't that amazing? The connection with his consumers. This people in industry started to change in the 80s when money market accounts and people with money started looking where they could buy things up. And there was two premises. You buy it up and you run it because it was a great company. Or you buy it up, you plunder it, sell all the equipment to China, and run out the door with a whole bunch of cash. See those two directions? Because they don't know anything about the business they're buying. All they know is the money. They are only bean counters. They know how to save money, how to reduce quality, how to get it the maximum amount of dollars out of the corporations, and then sell all the hard assets off. You see how they do it? It's just, for lack of a better term, it's raping a corporation, a business. All right, Josh, let's take about I think it's about 70 seconds this before we talk about it again.
We need you. You're going to run these plants at 24/7 for the foreseeable future.
People are tired. They're exhausted, working 7 days a week as is, nonstop.
The company's not about us. It's all about what they can do and how much money they can make.
Okay, hold. Pause. I want you to understand what's going on here. They recently had a contract settlement and they got a pretty good raise. I think it was like 4.6% over each year for 3 years or something like that. It was a little more than inflation. So that if you can get more than inflation, isn't that a great deal in this world? Because most of the time you're running behind, especially with people on Social Security at their $12.40 an hour job. after they put in for a lifetime. But another story. So here's Steve telling us, we're going to run this place. We're going to smoke it. We're going to run 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. We're going to put out enough cereal because remember, cereal's not only an American thing now, it's all across the whole world. It's a staple for breakfast for probably most of the world. It's infected every corner. You can see cereal boxes in newsreels in Africa. They're so poor, but you can see cereal boxes scattered around. All right, so the two parties now. So let's go on.
Honestly, I think corporate greed has took over, and I don't know how to stop that train.
Look at these compensations.
And it is a corporation that has decided to go and compensate their executives and their salaried people and not trickle that down to its workers that were in the plant every day during this pandemic.
Can you pause this? All right, so what we have going on here is the workers are feeling like they're the backbone of the company. They're doing the work. They're in there 24/7, 7 days a week. As we go further on, you're going to realize that they actually work 8 days a week because they're working 12 hours a day. Some even more, some 16. And meanwhile, Chuckles here, Steve, is reaping the rewards. Now, you saw the kind of salary he gets, but that's not his total compensation. He's getting stock options. He's getting bonuses for hitting certain sales points or production points. So even here in their own video, Kellogg's own video, they're not telling you the whole truth. So go ahead.
Our plants have been running 24/7 from day one, operating the plants at 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, breaking production records each and every day.
So, I mean, we basically live there.
Our average schedule is, for most folks, is 8 days a week. So you're gonna work 7 days plus a 8-hour overtime day.
Sometimes 16-hour days.
Oh, it's exhausting. People are tired.
We are just a number, and they care about making more. Just it's never enough for them. All the money that they made during this pandemic, that wasn't enough.
It was definitely a wow factor when you're looking at double-digit growth, high double-digit growth. Our net sales came in much higher than expected. Our penetration is up, our usage is up. So we have been operating at well above 100% capacity on many of our platforms. And so we've benefited from the stay-at-home. There's no.
So during the pandemic, this equity firm, money market firm, this bean counter group came in and said, we got a locked in market right now. Everybody's locked in their houses for the pandemic. What are we going to do for it? Well, we're going to increase not only the number of cereals, different kinds, but we're going to increase the production, drop the price a little bit, maybe make the packaging a little smaller. And we're going to push it into everybody's house because mom is going to get real tired of making 3 meals a day for the chitlins who are home 7/24. You get it? They saw an opportunity and they struck. This is what bean counters do. It wasn't about helping out mom and dad with all these kids at home because they can't go to school and they can't go to work and they can't do this. The government shut it down. So this is an opportunity for them to make more money. They're not going to say it that way, but that's the truth. Go ahead, Josh. I appreciate you.
No question about it. We had a very strong quarter.
I don't understand how you can make that kind of money and make those profits and still have it not be enough for you. But when we say it's not enough for us, you don't care?
Courage or compassion?
Both.
Our human compassion for people is non-existent. It's all about the business.
We're focused on productivity. We'll always look at productivity to see what we can do to offset rising commodity costs, rising costs in general. I'm happy to report that we've managed to increase our production.
Good number.
Cash flow remained strong, and we were able to accelerate share buybacks into the first quarter. Talked about returning cash to share owners in 2021. We're going to do that. We're going to, be back into share buybacks.
They're making us look like we're some sort of greedy monster coming after their profits when they made
Okay, could you pause it?
several $billion just last year.
So you see what this money market bean counter CEO has done? He has taken this company, and because of his management style and his aggressive style, and you can't fault a person in business for having that type of mentality. If there's a market, there's somebody that's going to go after it. However, we've lost track as big business that it isn't about the head of the snake. It's about the worker. It's about the product. You have to have a quality product, and you have to have people that are concerned enough to maintain sanitation, to make sure the packaging is correct, that the counts are correct, that things get on trucks to get to the market in time. That's good business. Okay? He does not understand this. All he understands is the beans. He's putting so much in, he's getting so much out. How it happens, I don't even think he knows where his plants are. I'd be very surprised if he's ever even visited his plants, because that's not his job. His job is to increase sales, and by that way, increase production and get more money, get more work out of his workers, driving the cost down, but keeping the cost up to consumers. This is an important change from when people own corporations. When there is Chobani Yogurt. This is an immigrant that came to this country 10 years ago and bought a dairy plant in upstate New York that nobody wanted. I believe they were making cottage cheese when they closed down, but he made a great Greek yogurt. It was his claim to fame before he came here. Now he's in America. He's got some bucks. He buys this old cottage cheese plant. He rehabs it, and he starts making yogurt. Chobani yogurt. It's across the whole world now. But he's one person that owns this company along with his wife. This guy pays back his employees every day. Stock, daycare, employees' funds if they are in a bind. Every year he puts on a parade at Thanksgiving in this little podunk town in upstate New York that rivals any parade in any other city, and I don't care the size. The man is so community minded that he is in the local community every day. His wife and children are in the community. He knows that the product has to be a certain level. He's in the plant testing it. He's like Elon Musk. Elon Musk lived in his X factory for almost 2 years. Why? Because things were getting away from him. So he just moved in there. And he said it felt like being in Las Vegas. The lights were always on because they ran 24/7. He says it was like never getting out of Las Vegas. He said there was a couple of months there he never even left the plant because of his dedication. Because it's his product, it's his company. But if you're a 100-person bean counter firm that buys up Chobani yogurt, instead of saying we got a quality product that we have to protect, and we're gonna run it out the door as much as we can. You say, how can we cut the quality, therefore cutting our costs, therefore a greater profit margin? You know what? Maybe we shouldn't put an ounce of fruit on the bottom of the yogurt. Maybe we'll only put 0.06. Well, we can save all this money by doing that, and nobody's going to notice. See that? That's how a bean counter thinks. Okay. Josh, let's go on with the video.
And they have right now a contract that's expired that has industry-leading wages and benefits. It is an excellent offer.
I think the company is being very greedy. They made a ton of money. They were calling us heroes.
To everyone around the world working so hard to bring breakfast to the table, thank you.
And they're pumping us up.
It is with sincere gratitude and respect extend a heartfelt thank you to our employees for their dedication and hard work, their bravery during such a challenging and turbulent time. Their commitment and dedication has been inspiring, but it has not been surprising. People understood that we were joined up, that we were connected, and that we were indeed standing in solidarity with one another.
Who's ever making these decisions, they don't care about the people.
Can you pause this, Jeff? Did you see the change? But did you look in the man's eyes as he was speaking? Where was the passion when he was telling his board of directors and the shareholders about production and running the plants at 724? Where was that passion in that last statement about employees? I didn't see it. I didn't feel it. I felt when he was, if I was a shareholder, I'd be on my, just standing on my chair cheering, because I know he's talking about more money. What this last little bit was a PR program. Go ahead, Josh, please.
A word to describe your leadership style.
Shoulder to shoulder.
They're not showing that they care about any of us. Even the people that have been here for years, we're not getting any kind of, not even a thank you.
I talk to our people at all levels as much as I possibly can. And I tell them I get more out of these meetings than you do, because that's what fuels my energy.
I think honestly the company could have done more for its people that are working every day for them during these times.
We talk about our company having a heart and soul, and we mean it.
They have put profits over people for years now. It's been more and more evident the longer I've been here.
All right, so let's try to understand. If you're a shareholder, if you're somebody that has invested in Kellogg's, this is the person you want, right? This is the guy who's going to squeeze every penny out of every nickel. If you're an employee, not so good. You're being mandated, you're being worked like a horse, like a mule. But what about the consumer? Now, I don't eat a lot of cereal. I eat oatmeal in the wintertime simply because it's hot and filling, and it gets me through most of the morning. But my boys growing up ate cereal. They loved it. I mean, my wife would actually have to make a menu up for the week just to get them away from the cereal. And then we started finding them sitting in front of the TV with their hand in a cereal box, which, told me that there was obviously more sugar in there than nutrition. The worst thing about this is I remember Kellogg's being a premier company, a company that was involved with the community. If you want to inform yourself, Google Tony the Tiger. Go back to the 70s when he was this guy who was involved in every aspect of children's lives. There was Tony the Tiger clubs, Tony the Tiger fundraising in your schools. Tony the Tiger would be in your neighborhood and doing promos. Tony the Tiger was this positive influence. Yeah, he was selling sugary crap cereal, but it was part of the mentality of the business to be interactive with their people, both working and consuming. We don't do that anymore. We just get a good product, we get the business up off the ground, and we pray for some bean counter money market investment firm to come along and buy our corporation. So we can dance off to wherever with a bunch of money in our pocket, and who cares anymore? It is the reason within the next 5 years, the number of restaurants that will still be open will be close to zero. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, I've had over 40 years in the restaurant industry. I remember the good times, I remember the bad times. I remember when I finally made the decision that I can't make enough money running a restaurant. I have to run a catering facility along with the restaurant just to make enough money to pay my employees, my overhead, and have a little jingle in my pocket at the end of the year. Isn't that seriously sad? My grandfather ran the restaurant for almost 70 years. He did some catering on the side for friends, but that wasn't the focal point of the focal point started at 4 o'clock and ended at about midnight. And he had the freshest ingredients. He kept his menu to 12 things, not a Chinese menu of 400. And those 12 things he did excellently. I mean, if he went to the fish market and he was looking for lobster and they didn't have anything that looked good, he bought what looked good and just changed the menu. Say it was scallops or shrimp or whatever was a seafood dish. Because he always had a seafood dish. And he always had a meat dish. And there was always a couple of pastas at the bottom that you could order, or baked potato. He cared every day about, he knew every day his reputation was on the line. Now corporations don't have that because people blindly go in and pick their groceries, not giving it a second thought. But even worse than that, now we call up or we go on an app and we check mark everything that we want. And then we put our credit card in, and then we either go to the store and pull up out front like Walmart or Aldi's or any one of the grocery stores, Wegmans, Kroger's, and they put it in your car and you drive off. Now, if you're super lazy, you call DoorDash or Lyft or one of the other services. They come to your house and unload and load it into your house. Now, all you got to do is put it away. You understand? We are no longer connected to our food. I remember my wife, God bless her, taking 20 minutes in a store when I first met her to pick out 3 pounds of bacon. This woman went through the cabinet of bacon. It was on sale, so they had a pretty big cabinet of bacon. And she flipped every one of them over until she found one with the meat-fat ratio she wanted. 20 minutes to pick out 3 pounds of bacon. I should have run out the door when that happened. When I realized that this woman was so obsessed with the quality of things, I should have just left. But you know how guys are. We think with our little head rather than our big head. See, that's an old joke. It's not appropriate anymore, but that's an old joke. And I don't care. I'm 73. What are you going to do? Take my birthday? So here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, it's easy enough for you to understand now the 10% rule. All we have to do no matter what you're selling, whether it's a service, whether it's medical insurance, whether it's some kind of warranty, or just a plain open door business. Every time you have a problem, you deny it. Every time you have a problem, you make it sound like the consumer is being unreasonable. Isn't that terrible? No one takes responsibility anymore. Why? Because there's no head of the corporation or the business. There's not one guy that owns the place, that has a vested interest. The CEO has no vested interest in Kellogg's. He might as well have been talking about making washers or decks of cards. His premise, his way of running things, doesn't matter whether it's cereal or potato chips. His basic premise of running a corporation is max it out, wear it out, and then go on to the next thing. What about the employees? It's the cost of doing business. All right. So I'm gonna try to prove this point out now. I'm gonna give you some corporations. We have a video of corporations, and you tell me, I'm not gonna tell you, I'm gonna let you watch this video without interruption. And then at the end of it, you comment to me, you tell me, because I'll tell you what I think. It's real important that you look at the name of the corporation and you tell me if it's just as good as it was 5 years ago, if the service or the products, everything. 5 years ago, we're talking just before 2019, before the pandemic. So even the people who are totally not involved can remember that far back. Unless you're in a drug-induced haze, which I should be, but I'm not. All right, so let's roll the video, Josh, and see if we can correlate to the corporations.
Companies have fallen prey to the scourge that is private equity, causing you to pay more for far worse goods. Doc Martens actually got their start in 1947 when Dr. Klaus Meriton and Dr. Herbert Funk developed the air-cushioned sole. They were sold to British global investment firm Permira in 2013 for £300 million. Woolrich, founded in 1830 in Pennsylvania when John Rich built the first woolen mill in Plum Run, Pennsylvania. However, in 2018, Woolrich announced that they would close their last plant in the U.S. to sell to private equity firm L. Gam Advisors. Oakley got its start in 1975 when James Gennard started the brand with only $300. In 2007, though, Luxottica purchased Oakley for over $2 billion. Vice grips. They were invented by William S. Peterson in DeWitt, Nebraska in 1924. The original vice grip manufacturing plant in DeWitt, Nebraska was closed in 2008 when the parent company moved production over to China, putting about 330 locals out of work. Many great companies have...
All right, so what's the correlation here? What's the theme? The theme is we have products, Cabela's, Sears, Kmart. Don't get me started on Kmart. I used to love to go into Kmart with $2 and be able to have a whole lunch platter. It really pisses me off that Kmart went out of business. Not so much for Kmart, but because of their cafeteria. It was a cheap place to get lunch. Friendlies. They just closed the last Friendlies about 6 months ago. And the only thing I liked in Friendlies to eat was the clam chowder. Everything else was kind of mediocre. But the clam chowder was to knock the socks off you. But even Friendlies, with that menu that came on a 4x8 sheet of plywood, because they had so much crap on it, and then of course they had 2 pages of ice creams and desserts and things. Couldn't make it. Sears. Let's just once suspend all doubt. Suspend your cocky attitude that you know everything in the world. Now, Sears in the 1800s was nothing but a little storefront with a big warehouse. and they put out this book. And the book that I remember, first book I remember, was about 2 or 3 inches thick. I mean, I remember both of us, my older brother and myself, having to carry the book in when it was delivered because it was that big. It was like this magical mystery tour. You open that book up to any page, and it was something wonderful, especially in the ladies' underwear section. For a young kid, I mean, it was the first connection to pornography. You know, where they were selling the bras and the panties and the girdles. Oh, yeah. But that's another story. How can a company like Sears, how do we get to the point in the greatest online sales ever, a company that originated buy out of a book and will ship it to you? The house next door to the big house was a Sears house. It came from a Sears catalog. The people that own the house next to us put that house together themselves. The two sons, the father, the grandfather, and the father-in-law, literally bought a house from Sears, put a foundation down, and built the kit. Now you can buy tiny homes online that come pre-assembled. But this is Sears before the internet, before telephones. If you wanted an order in a hurry, you sent a letter, but then you went down to the telegraph office and you sent off a telegram. And then, let's face it, banking wasn't the greatest back in the 1800s, early 1900s. So you had to get a bank check and mail it off with your order because they weren't going to fill the order until they saw the green. Sears stores started opening around 1890, I believe, all over the country. You know what they were? They were small little retail outlets with big buildings for a warehouse out back. I mean, you could buy anything from a model airplane to a baler for grass or hay. You could buy farm equipment. You could buy a couch. You could buy a sewing machine, washing machine, refrigerator. This was a catalog 2 or 3 inches thick, heavy enough to put on my brother, and he couldn't get up, which was pretty funny if you think about it. Little kid squirming around with a book on him. I just remembered that. We opened the book up and laid it on, put him on the ground and laid it on his back. He couldn't get up. He kept screaming for mom. I have to remind Art about that. So if you have this corporation and the internet comes in, what is a more natural transition than that? I mean, you already have the warehouse full of crap. You have this book that you just have to digitize. Now, I don't know that much about how to set up that kind of, Amazon type operation because I'm just not that literate, and I don't want to be. I leave that to somebody else who has the ability and the reason to do it. I don't have a reason to do it, and that's important. If you have a reason to do something, you always do it better. If your motivator is anything else but greed and money, you could do a pretty good job. I know that from working in kitchens all my life. It's about you coming through the door and being dedicated to that product. From the chef, the executive chef, to the chef of the cuisine, to the gardener, to the line chef. We used to say at the family meal before we opened up, anybody got any problems? Anybody depressed? Anybody want to say anything? Anybody pissed off with anybody else? We got it all out. And then at the end of the night, Yeah, there might have been a fist fight or two in the alley, but afterwards you all went to get a drink. Because in the heat of the kitchen, things get said, things get done, ladles get thrown. It's a tense atmosphere. But at the end of the day, you come together for the greater good because the food you put out, your last meal is that important because that's the last one you're going to be judged on. Doesn't matter what happened before. It may give some people want to come through the door because they heard something. But now businesses don't care about that. They're this elusive entity on a screen. Look at Target. Look at Kohl's. J.C. Penney. They're holding on with nails, barely holding on. The greed of the people that they lease their building from has gotten so incredible. I hope you guys know what a triple lease is. If you don't, Google it. It's where you pay a fee, a rent, whatever, a lease charge. Then you pay the taxes, and then you pay a percentage of your profits. Triple. They get you triple. Is that amazing? No wonder Walmart builds their own building, buys the land, builds their own building. If they're going to pay triple what they make, you might as well pay it to themselves, right? So businesses down the road so far now, it's a norm. And when something becomes a norm, it's hard to change it. This is not something that I think can't be fixed. But I'm a realist, and I think to change has to be some dynamic problem, issue closed down. Something has to bring this present mentality that the only thing that matters is the almighty dollar or the Bitcoin, however you're going these days. There has to be a way to have pride, to have responsibility within the corporate atmosphere. Now, one of the things I wrote down on my page here was about the corporations being treated like people, having the same rights of people. It's, they've debated. It's the 14th Amendment. They've just construed it. They took the 14th Amendment and turned it on its head and made corporations people and gave them the same rights. A corporation is not a person. It's not a living, functioning thing. It's just an entity. And to prove that, how many corporations have started in one area and gone on to another area? Okay? Corporations have to be responsible primarily to the consumer, because without consumers, there is no money at the end of the month to split up. And how do I know that? Well, look at all the places that have closed. The one that really shocked me this last year that got closed was the Christmas tree store. How in the hell, with everything they sold, the parking lot always packed every day of every season because they would change their inventory to meet the season. How could they go out of business? Well, I'll tell you, it's real simple. Go on the internet and you can undercut their price every day. Same thing with Target. We're looking to replace our KitchenAid mixer. I like the 7-quart one, a little bit bigger than the home one, but not quite to the big professional one. 7 quarts just perfect for me. I do have a 20-quart mixer, but that's downstairs, and I only use that when we're canning. So I'm online, right? and I'm searching for it. Now, there's a bunch of places you can buy KitchenAid mixers. Even Home Depot has. And of course, you can buy it right from KitchenAid. But there's no correlation in any way. Some places you just get the mixer and the bowl and a couple of accessories for the bowl. Then another place will give you a pasta maker head or a meat grinder head. You see something with a really great price, but then you realize, there's a fee, a shipping fee, and a packaging fee. By the time you get finished when you go to check out, it's $200 more than the advertised price because of all their add-ons. You want to pay for regular shipping, it's $39 and it will be there in 30 days. But if you pay $59, it will be there in 10 days. If you pay $79, it will be there in 3 days. See how this works? The same guy putting it in the same box, putting the same label on it, sticking it in this system. We just grabbing money at every level we can. It's that mentality that the only thing that matters is how many beans we have at the end of the day, week, month, year. How can we sustain that? If the product or the amount of stuff, the size of the product box or bag keeps getting smaller, if the product itself keeps getting worse, how do we maintain that business? Well, we don't. We just run it into the ground and then we sell all the hardware and all the land and all the buildings. And the bean counters move on to the next one. And what is the next one? There's scary thoughts out there. What if the insurance industry is nothing but bean counters and algorithms and statistics? They're betting on you to die before they have to put too much money into you. Let me say that again. Medical insurance is betting that you're going to die long before they have to start investing money to keep you alive. That's their whole thing. If somebody comes and tells you that anything else is going on in the insurance industry, they're lying to you. The insurance industry is about taking in as much money as they can and putting out as little as they can. So we're back to the 10% rule. Deny everybody. Deal with the 10 that come back, and then deal with the 1. It's as simple as that. You have to know who you're dealing with. You have to understand the real motivation, because the motivation of putting out a good product, the motivation of having a good name within the industry is gone. If you start a business, a corporation, and you make a fly swatter, a better fly swatter, somebody's going to come along and buy it from you. But you built a business. You made a better fly swatter. You're concerned about the quality, about shipping, about people's response to it. But then the bean counter comes in and he's only responsible to his board of directors to make as much money as he can. And when he's worn the company out, to not get stuck with any assets, to sell it all up. It's a whole different mentality. And no, it hasn't just started. It's probably been here since the 1700s. I'm sure somebody selling tea thought, well, if I buy this company and that company and merge them together and kind of put some sawdust in the tea bag rather than all tea, I can make more money. You get it? I don't know how long this has been going on. I don't know exactly why, because my name was on my restaurants. I took pride in my product, And when I sold my restaurants to people, I would say, for the first 18 months, don't change anything. Don't fire anybody. Don't hire anybody new. Maintain the menu, maintain the service, maintain the cleanliness, and understand you bought the business because you liked my business. But so many people would come through the door and just make these outrageous changes right off the bat. And then they'd come back to me in 6 or 8 months going, I don't know what it is. We can't make any money. Well, duh. First of all, it's a change of ownership. You're going to take a dip anyway. But if you maintain everything else, the dip is not going to be that long and it's not going to hurt you. As soon as people come through the door and see that you're a friendly, dedicated to your product person, they'll keep coming. But if they come through the door and you've gotten rid of the kid who fills the water and the butter dish and cleans the table because you can save X number of dollars, now you put that on your servers to do. And now your servers no longer are attentive. They're running around with a chicken without their head on, trying to get the food out. You've made a major change in your business, and it was a small thing that you didn't think anybody would notice or wouldn't even deal with. But they notice. They notice. People are saying right now, just Google General Dollar Store. Every product in General Dollar is specifically tongue-tied, made for General Dollar. It's smaller packaging, so they can charge you a smaller price. So, is this the wave of the future? Do we not need as much stuff? That's what they'll tell you. Cuts down on the waste. No, it doubles your profit because I used it up fast and I got to replace it at a greater price. That's how it works, people. That's the 10% rule. Do whatever you want and then deal with that one person that hangs on. And most of the time, that person gets bought up anyway or is marginalized. Made to look like some hysterical idiot. Change. We have big change coming. We have change in our government for the next 4 years, whether you like it or not. We have change coming. We're going to the moon in 27. They just changed that from 26. Telling you guys, you're pushing it out there. I might not be around if you keep pushing it out there. So please, get your shit together and get us to the moon. In fact, not only do I want you to get us to the moon, but I want you to see you jump off from the moon going to Mars. I may not see you get to Mars, but I want to at least know that you guys did it. Personal commercial there. That's all I want. You know, I want that ability to say I was there and I saw it happen and I feel part of it. Well, I think I've bloviated long enough. This is Tom Nuetna, the conversationalist. I hope that you got something out of this. I hope you'll comment. Hope you'll share it with somebody else that thinks I'm a clown. Like, subscribe, comment, support St. Jude. For crying out loud, these people do wonderful things. Support Aortic Hope. I have a personal connection with these people. I don't make any bones about it. They pulled me out of a funk at just the right time. When I realized that there were people out there with aortic disease like I have, that actually are continuing their lives. Maybe not the life they had before, but the life they have now. And they actually laughed and enjoyed their life. That was dynamic for me. So please support. Few dollars, like and subscribe, share it. And please get tested for aortic disease. It's an easy test. Anybody can get it done. See if there's something going on. When the engine light comes on, don't do what I did. I waited 10 years. You know, the light was flashing. By the time I had my aortic dissection, that light was screaming at me. Don't do what I did. Take care of yourself. Same thing with peripheral artery disease, PAD. It's something everybody seems to have, whether you have diabetes or not. Everybody is complaining about aches in their legs and pains and this and that. And I can't walk or you get used to and blah, 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 blah. We are not automatically chopping parts off anymore. Yes, there are still a lot of people that treat diabetics with a hatchet and get paid very well for it. But you, as the consumer, as the diabetic, want to keep your limbs. So try to find a doctor who's more about trying to save your limb than cut it off. And Kim at PAD will help you find that doctor in your area. So give her some love. Like, subscribe, send us a donation. Keep this good work working. And of course, you know, I'm that generation of rock and roll. Anytime there's a party, I'm there. Please like and subscribe. Come enjoy the party. Cheapest party you ever go to. Joshua, my friend, my pal, my mentor, thank you very much for everything you do. Always thank you to God and all his blessings. Tom Neuetner. I don't argue with people. I just have a conversation. I'm out of here.